Hello, Fitchburg Art Museum. Hi. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we don't have to like yell or clap or anything because this is quite a lovely gallery. But thank you so much for your attention and thank you so much for paying attention to these wonderful poets. Before we really get started, I also, like from the depths of my heart, want to thank the Fitchburg Art Museum. This is what it means when an institution talks about helping the people in the communities they live in. This is what it looks like when they give a platform to local artists, small artists, and people that just give a shit about art and poetry. So thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you to the institution of the FAM for just supporting this little dream of ours. We have really, really wonderful poets tonight. We're going to have Paula Giaquinto. We're going to have Zach Boss. We're going to have Sarah Afshar and John Keogh. These are probably not names that you already know, but you might in the future. And you'll get to say, yeah, I saw them at the FAM back in the day. I might also recommend, if you're the type who wants to hold on to these memories, we all have these on us. Most of us have a notes app. I don't know what droids have, but you have a way to take down notes of what you're seeing and what you're hearing. Some of these lines might mean something to you tonight, and they might mean something more to you tomorrow. So it's a good idea to try to like plant those seeds within yourself. And again, I just strongly recommend, have a way to kind of make note of something that you hear that is significant to you. I'm going to start us off with a poem. It just feels right. I also kind of want to use this as a time that you guys can like practice your listening skills, right? I'm not saying I'm actually not even close to the best poet on this list tonight, but this is just kind of an exercise, get you guys used to thinking about poetry, get you guys used to hearing metaphor, allusion, little thoroughfares in poetry. Like I said, this is just kind of an experiment. This is your pretending to listen. This poem is called Passing Persisting. It's a poem that I wrote for the Creative Network Summit last year. I read it in this room last year, and it felt a different context a year ago. And now I just want to see how it feels. It's called Passing Persisting. The times are unprecedented, but we are not. Roots entwined, bound by moment and mission to each other. Stronger than vows made in gilded chapels, stronger than oaths made with liars' tongues. There is fertile soil here, glacial residue imbues us with resilience. Crown shy, untouching, but in gentle camaraderie, reinforcing our joyous duty to ourselves and to one another. It is our responsibility to our creation and to our craft that we prosper. It is our necessary perspective that we cannot prosper alone. We are in a moment of accumulation, generations resting on our shoulders with a weight that feels burdensome and expectations forcing us nearly to collapse. But we will not collapse, not singularly nor as part of a whole. We will not be demolished. We will inevitably, inexorably thrive. We are in a moment of contraction, perhaps feeling undervalued, underrepresented, unseen. We are as necessary as air, as the spark that lit in our hearts in that moment when we first created. Do you remember the first time you made something? The times are unprecedented, but we are not. We have always been here, and we will always be here. Thanks. I had wanted to have my act together enough to have everybody give me like a little like bio for this, and I might have even asked for it, but I want everybody's work to kind of speak from themselves. And I want to kind of let you know a little anecdote about all of our readers. So I just want to say that our first reader is Miss Paula Giaquinto. She is literally one of the hardest working poets in the area. She doesn't necessarily see herself as the force of nature that she is poetically, but because I do so strongly and because I trust in you guys' perspective as well, give it up for Miss Paula.
Hi. I'm just thrilled to be here and to share some words with you. I've been writing poetry for about a year and a half. Was something to do after I left my job, retired. I write in honor of poets I admire. I write about nature and my observations. I write about important milestone moments. And sometimes I write because I hear a word or see a sign and something strikes me and I take notes and it turns into a poem. So they're a little random. Some may be a little hard to hear, but I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for being here. So the first poem I wrote that was published last year by Quabbin Quills. One. And this is it. Walking over low stones. Walking over the low stones, boulder bodies buried, unknown to the winds, heads heaved up, revenant rocks, almost invisible in the cold gray light, sisters in old walls now crumbled. This day, she too, a sister, stands solid. Rooted, feet planted more below ground than above, she stares down the dawn and the sun's indelible and fluid swaths across the pasture. She dreams down through the hoary field, crystal pale grass blades, shimmering sisters to the granite and mud. To be mountains again, she hopes, in her next life. She remembers her forebears, stonecutters and stone finders in their new home, high in the quarry, and hefting rocks in the low pasture behind the barn, for walls made of breaking backs and blistered palms. Primitive protection against deer and dangers and demons unknown. Quiet, arms wrapped against the gray cold, ribbons of mist wrap her ankles, tie her to these rocks. Looking east, she remembers magic in the new sun, while dawn remembers the green push of stalks and vines, sap soon flowing through maple and pine, sisters to its season. Wind remembers the red-tailed hawks soaring and climbing and circling to heaven. The pasture remembers its own cycles, its pulse of growing and growing until exhaustion wins. And rock walls remember hugging ground, sometime before a trailhead or a headstone grows, granite, ground bound and then released at the top of the hill, nearness to the sun, the cause of its downfall. Between a rock wall and a hard wind, it's hard to tell what she is made of, walking, remembering, dreaming, rooted, bundled against the cold, the demons, the pulsing. She is graying towards invisibility. Thank you. So my next is called Facing Dawn. I have to put this down. Front doors should always face east, facing the dawn. White gauze, white snow shrouds the boughs, soundproof, silenced, unmoving this morning. A greeting, almost a prayer, hangs in the cold frozen air, waiting for the pale rising sun to lift the simple gift, a wind-whispered glory be across field and swale to brush each tree with a warmed breath. A good morning across the blue jay's wings, hoping for the coming warmth to lift through the needly canopy, to ruffle the towering pine tops, murmuring to rouse cardinal and chickadee. Even toasty breadcrumbs and birdseed are no temptation to crack the shell of this early white coldness, muffling the thud of snow clods sliding off branches into my collar as I brush under. How thin the sun, how thick the snow. Ancient wisdom reminds to mind the four corners of the earth, but today, now, not of earth, air, water, or fire, the weather has one timeless mind, a mind of its own. So I find myself in this place just right, turning, coming round right in the center of today's creation, simply a garden of white blooms, waiting for the sun's pale rays, waiting for warming winds, waiting and wanting to be invited into a new day. Thank you. Okay, another nature-y thing. Wild wind comes calling. It comes raw through the apple orchard's rib cage, trees leaning, praying again, and punished anyway. It comes fevered, turning leathered leaves to ash, no tenderness, its fierce voice a reminder that wind has a deliberate hunger for warmth stolen from nests and burrows and barns. It comes as a restless guest, persistent, incessant, demanding everything, needing nothing. It moves because it must, as rain swells streams to rivers spilling to sea. It comes unbidden, careless, racing ahead of sun gold and morning dew, pushing clouds through blue, tussling grass green, grass bent in greeting, not fear, wind delighting in its own frisky mischief. It comes for a time, sometimes only a moment. I am called by its breath, damp, cool, pine-scented, while I stand still, eyes closed, calm and quiet, while wind tugs at my jacket, while its unbidden fingers tussle my hair. I listen to its whispered stories, a wild and wise old friend winking with weather in its eye. Okay. Oh, this is a little somber, so bear with it. For some reason, I was struck this year on 9/11, so this is a somber history, a September 11th eulogy. So many words meaning so little. It's terrible. I'm sorry. Are you okay? Stay strong. Time heals. You'll be fine. But no words can deflect fate's aim and recapture lifetimes cut short in that merciless hour. In my office, watching on a small black and white TV, I saw the fire and smoke, climbing like some mad, dark genie, shadow cast over concrete and business as usual, Manhattan gasping, breathing out its darkest fears, time stopping, still until the devil's next blow, piercing, striking deep into steel and stone, the huge void visible as if the heavens ruptured, the sky itself turning against man, returning him too soon to ashes, to dust. From my office, I listened to sirens screeching, the cry of angels betrayed by hate. I watched with stomach turning the rain of business suits flapping like pages torn from God's book of lives, mothers and brothers and bosses left with only unthinkable choices above the flames, closing their eyes, leaping with their last dreams in mind, choosing death. Gray soot-covered faces streaked with tears, firefighters rose from rubble and fear, clearing steel beams and splintered skulls to make a stand against those fiery dragons wrapped in that cursed day's flight. Thousands move through altered days and nights, building smoldering memories, burning in grief. Over time, they grow as cold as the thousands of graves where ghosts remain ground into granite, their names like bruises on a broken heart, never really healing. From my office on this day, today, the sky is clear, a canvas of blue, unlike then a blue of infinite possibilities. Thinking that forever grief must challenge time, must fall to generations then unborn, must cry out loud or whispering to be remembered by everyone, by children even. Thinking that history is like a throat choking on anger and lost innocence, panicking, breathing, impossible, death closing in, dreams cut short, thinking that flames melt steel, thinking of orphans who wait at schoolhouse doors, thinking of what a tower meant, thinking of what falling towards heaven felt like, thinking that history's story needs relief and release to survive. Okay, shake that one out. Okay, little shift. So I had a cat for about 20 years. It showed up at one of the schools I worked in on Halloween. It was black. Jumped in my car, came home. So this is my ode to Miss Kitty, the black cat. The black cat parades so gracefully, perhaps a glance, perhaps not, except for a tap with her slightly curled claws and a snag on my socks. Look, look, look at me. As familiar as I may seem, I am not your sweet thing pet, your frivolous, fluffy companion, but the black shadow at your ankle, the force that slits the moon in the autumn night sky, the spell you summoned. Twin amber coins judging my eyes watch your morning rituals and nights in the quiet of loneliness. You think I purr for you, but I purr for the murmurings of the ancients, the lush jungle cover, the patient hunts. Your world is made of hours and apologies and regrets. My world is shadows and hunting and waiting. At dusk, when sunlight grows thin and stars whisper their hymns and your world's luster dims, I share my shade. My fur is stitched from the black nightmare's mane. From a velvet poem, written in unknown dialects of darkness and obscurity, you offer me milk, but its whiteness cannot cleanse the portent from my tongue while I drink in the stale ghost from your tea. You name me Miss Kitty, but I am older than naming. What name can be stronger than a whisper passed between witches and daughters in their October dance? Hear me, meow. Now I am the quiet purring god, made of fur and need, bedeviling you. I stay still, and still I leap into your lap, like the final card leaping from the tarot deck, as you read love in my stillness. And when I am quiet and soft on your chest, I am not here to soothe you. I am here to bear witness to what you hold in your heart. I hear what pulses beneath your skin. I am shadow waiting. Oh, I did love that cat. She was insane, but she was great. How can you resist a black cat on Halloween? Okay, here we are, the Art Museum, Fitchburg. I was born on Main Street. That building is now gone. It's where the post office is. I moved back here as a teenager, and I've been here ever since. So, this poem is Sunday in the Burg. I have friends who travel the world hoping to find home, while here I am in Fitchburg, with an inclination to simply open the door. Aptly named, it's Sun Day. Too cool for coffee on the porch, but wholly perfect anyway. Clear blue skies set no boundaries for birds or my observations. Neon green, half-leaf trees mean business growing minute by minute, minute bud by bud. Flowers still except daffodils, whose orange and yellow ruffled trumpet cups blast their spring song, long-awaited music to my eyes. I wait and wonder what's coming next in fascination. It seems I've won a surprise Sunday lottery. Scent and sound, color and congregation. The fox visiting 3 times this week is back. Gray in the woods shadow, his musky trail in the breeze a giveaway. Along with squirrels in a frenzy of agitation, goldfinches peep, peep, peep along with the 8 o'clock church bells. Blue jays and catbirds dip and sip at the vernal pool, and a swarm of chickadees wing noised as a chorus of invitation to all, visit the feeders, please. A flock of turkeys responds, marching up the driveway, gobble, gobble, gobbling bird and grass seed without discrimination. I count 1 chipmunk see 2, while the shadow of a hawk, 3 chipmunks see 4, creates fury among the crows in the treetops. Their murderous communication serves as a far and wide alert to every squirrel and bird nation. Guard your nests, you may be next. Do flowers and squirrels and foxes and birds think about winter's end, about flocks and nests and food, about every day, about today? For these few Sunday minutes, they have all of my attention, not thinking about my own agenda, about what's needed, what's next. I listen and watch and sit silent, stopping. Okay. And in honor of being here at the Art Museum and all of the poets and all of the visual artists and all of the people who do art, art is an axe. Art is an axe, not a gentle swipe sweeping pastel dust off the desk, not a soft tune humming its way through flexed fingers and strings, not preternaturally predisposed to the cooing vowels of love sonnets. Art is an axe, a manifesto for cleaving clear cuts through wooden minds and petrified hearts, through closed doors and the nothing much of the mundane. Do not be fooled. Both process and tool, art carves through intimacy and institution, joy and pain. It does not whisper, it howls, it wounds. It slices, let light and air in, perhaps to heal. Art does not ask permission, it strikes, shatters through silence, through suppression, its truth splitting the numb from the nerve, urgent, no time to say it beautified. Art is an axe. Do not be fooled, neither tool nor process. Art is not a pen or a sketch or a paintbrush, not soft colors washed across the sun-risen scape, or admonitions about leaning on galleries' walls as if art were the fragile prize of privilege. No, art is not fragile. It breaks, it burns, it lays bare before birthing unknown newness, all the feral wonderings, the screams, the vows that the world won't allow yet. Art is a soul of carbon steel whose sweet, deep voice of love, whose laugh cracking through the crust of sleep, whose world lays bleeding beneath those frames, whose word pulses beyond the page's cage, an axe with a bone-crushing bite, its brutal swing singing. That's it. Thank you.
Oh my God. So the thing about engaging with poetry is, like, if you're a host of an event and somebody does a really good poem and you're on the brink of tears, you still have to come up and talk. So just thank you, Paula. Paula's last poem was the better version of the poem I attempted to write at the beginning of this. And something I really loved about Paula's whole set, and about knowing Paula as a person, and about knowing pretty much everyone I know as an artist, as a person, is that we went to nature, we went to pet ownership, we went through the horrors of 9/11, and it all felt kind of manageable. It all felt kind of beautiful. It all felt kind of sacred. It felt like there were things that I could comment on about any bit of it, and I know that you all had kind of the same feelings. So just, like, thank you so much for witnessing Paula, and thank you so much for being a great audience. Give it up for Miss Paula. Next up, so, okay, like I said, I'm doing anecdotes instead of actual, like, things about these people, because they're actually, like, somewhat accomplished, and I don't want to not do justice to them. So our next poet is Zach Boss, and what I'm going to tell you about Zach is the kind of man, I made everybody little thank you things who's participating in this, and it says thanks, and they say thanks, and then for Zach's, I'm like, why do I want to write poop butt. I just feel like he'd find it funny. Zach's just a funny, weird person, and I hope you guys really enjoy him as much as I do. Give it up for Zach.
Better say poop butt.
I went with thanks, sorry.
It's all this red ink. I thought of a poem on the way over, so I'm going to give it a whirl. A modest proposal for more order. Aren't things just so chaotic now? A chaos of more cruelty, more hate, more callous delusion. In these times of more chaos, maybe more order could be a solution. In such historically unprecedented times, kids are in cages, people have died, when every other path to justice has been tried, one starts to think maybe more order is in this case justified. You know who I'm talking about. That guy. That fucking guy. Oh, won't someone just fucking more order that guy? It's a pun. This poem, a very different gear, is a sonnet. Many of my poems are sonnets. They feel safe and sacred. They feel like little boxes. They feel like tombstones. This one is titled Fossils at Copley Place. Ammonites are flash frozen in the polished limestone tile of the shopping mall, with other creatures crushed like mint and ice inside a highball glass. Their keels timelessly curl and uncurl. So go there, crouch down. With your finger, trace those whirls. The shoppers will part around you with all the aimlessness of the tide. Maybe you'll feel too much like a tourist who steals a rubbing from a tombstone, but don't stop. Study their shells. Do you feel as solid in that moment as Archimedes was in his, sitting awestruck in his tub, his guts long ago displaced by semi-precious gemstone? Ann Boyer used to be the poetry editor for the New York Times Magazine, and she resigned when the chief editors, the executive and corporate editors, said, look, we're talking about the wrong kinds of things with the wrong kind of tone. We need more order around here. She decried at the time ghoulish euphemisms, and she wrote, we are not supposed to share a language for how we really feel. This sonnet is titled Ghoulish Euphemisms. Social media rules are clear. No darkness permitted here. To speak of pain might summon it. Try final nap instead, or heading toward the next frontier, ghosted, or logging off the app. Self-harm is now a syntax error, flagged, content not suited for every age. Refuse to euphemize and you're red tagged. TikTok shadow bans you. YouTube scrubs your page. You want to say out loud a thing we each must name sometimes to not go through with it, but instead must tell it slant, unaliving, self-deleting, sewer slide, adieu. The algo smiles, your metrics climb, language learns to flinch and step aside. This sonnet is titled Where to Look. We poemize the body, the splendid fingers and eyes, the charming spatter of a sap spill birthmark. There, the teeth pearl white, the bell peal laughter. Such things are common and flattering stuff for poetry, but also not fair or philosophical. The truth is deeper. Of beauty, the rare and mattering part is not the pleasing, well-made curve, smiling in each sanguine hair and statuary limb and hip and small indent in a protruding upper lip. Beauty dwells beneath the breast, where it joins myriad parts into wholeness, where it yields of senseless bits knowing and resilience. This is a longer poem. It's a sequence of sonnets. Sonnet, my safe space. Sonnet, my comfort blanket. It's sort of a story, so come with me as we take a ferry ride crossing Long Island Sound. 1. The engine hums beneath my feet again. Sat near the railing, I clutch a wrapped gift, for I am off to a baby shower in Hauppauge to steal a little borrowed joy. I breathe salt in from the spray off the prow and watch gulls dive, flailing toward the foam, failed Icaruses. Behind the ferry, the shore dissolves. I do not wave or speak. The faces inside the galley are turned inward, concerned with rights that I have not earned. I drink one canned cocktail, then a second. Each sip burns from tongue to throat to gut, but nothing shifts the weight I feel, adrift between the land I leave and none to reach. 2. This deck remembers me. I remember that cold crossing when I came this way last, Bridgeport to Port Jeff, clutching a black tie to knot round my neck when I arrived for the service. I didn't have the chance to see his body, his face beforehand, just the blank black urn. Grief isn't silence, but a dent in air, a contour persisting when breath is gone. I think of how Gilgamesh rode stroke by stroke toward his friend's memory, pulling against the current of forgetting. I felt it then, that hollow inside my chest, no land ahead, no anchor in the past, my dead father drawn in smoke. 3. What undoes Orpheus is not desire, but doubt, the flickered thought that joy's a lie. He turned to check and found her vanished, gone. Eurydice returned not to the dark, but to mythless silence, the songless space. I think I know that look, that backward glance. The fog is thick today. I search it for faces I half remember, listen for voices in the white hiss of the waves. This is the cost of memory, the yearning gaze that shreds our history to atoms. Even the lyre holds nothing but the shape of what it used to cradle in its strings. I sing a name, but no reply returns. 4. Sometimes I fear that the warmth of fire and feast is not the right fit for me. No mead hall awaits to unbolt and unbar and fling open the broad doors when kin hear my knock. I speak in fragments of forgotten talk and play in exile under empty sky. I look for promises the sea can't keep and know that's on my attachment issues. The gulls cry out, but not to bring me home. I do not know where home would even be. The hearth is myth, the table long since cleared. I go on, a weird figure, wandering between two vanished places, carrying the ache of what I lost and never had. 5. The oars move like a clock with no escape. Dip, rise, repeat, the water's metronome. The boatmen, like David, like Charon, guide our poor ghosts through bleak mists when nothing clear can be seen ahead. Pity the living who don't get such help until they're dead. This ocean swells with names. Salt dries on my skin like old regret. Have I had my third canned cocktail yet? It's still an hour before we dock. Dip, rise, repeat, the rhythm holds, indifferent yet exact. The dead walk softly on this softly rolling deck. Their footfalls echo through the oar's low beat. Salt has accrued in my Dutch blonde hair, a gift of the air. The last stanza, 6. By boat and plane, by road and rail, by Shanksmere, I travel a map I do not trust. It folds where I have handled it too much. The ferry docks, but nothing quite arrives. Now the drive to the party. Now the performance of partaking, which is not quite faking, followed by the journey back to the place I started from this morning. There something stays unspoken, unreached still. There the second chair remains untouched, and night runs its river through the room and bed, a whispering of bodies, voices, wants. I write it down the only way I can, but nothing settles. Nothing closes in. And my last sonnet that was a sad day. I'm not sad now. Someone will be talking and death butts in. He's rude and proud of it. He manspreads on the train, gets too loud, too near to strangers, with his face a leer, his breath rank. He sweats wet stink. Never forget, his tone-deaf shirt says. When he should be couth, death talks shit. Death respects no personal space or boundary. Death is in this for the bounty, for the lulls, to own us. Oh, he'll wear a mask, but only to break up families. Death takes the dead, but takes our peace as well. Takes, but never asks. Takes and expects us to be grateful for all death teaches. Death, entitled, takes more than he is owed. Death overreaches.
Woo. Not easier the second time. Super cool. That was insane to hear that and look around and see the physical manifestations of death. Excellent vibe. If you need a hug after, what up? Whew. Next up, guys, she's a new friend. Her name is Sarah F. I fucked it up now. Can I have your last name?
Say it. You're going to say it right.
Afshar. I added a G for some reason. Sarah is as kind as she is patient. And Sarah came at recommendation from Zach. And something that I want to say before she comes up is she came on a recommendation from Zach, whom I trust because he's a wonderful poet. You guys are all here because you care about poetry and you care about art and you care about building community. So I just want to say in the same way that Zach made a really good recommendation for me, which I'm really, really thankful for, I would just like to blanket recommend you guys to one another. Most of you guys already follow the Openest Mic on stuff, and most of you guys are autonomous adults who can speak to one another as well. So feel free to not meet each other through my social media and get to know one another, because this isn't just about the wonderful art that we're experiencing, but it's about the bonds we're creating. So Sarah, come on up here, new friend. Guys, give it up for Sarah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah, as you've heard. I'm from Massachusetts. I am kind of a townie right now. I'm living where I grew up, and I love it. I fucking love being a townie. And if you guys are townies too, it's great. I see my cousin on the train. I see my first grade teacher at the grocery store sometimes. All the dudes from college and high school that are still single. Yeah, they just a honing device. It's awesome. So I'm really, really happy to be here with you guys because I'm home. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Poop Butt. And John, I don't know who you are, but your choices tonight were sparkles or white cable knit. I hope we didn't leave you out of our outfits. A sparkly white cable knit sweatshirt. I am going to read poems. Hold on. Okay. I'm going to start with two ghazals. I'm Sarah. I'm a poet. I'm an editor at Adroit. I'm an immigration attorney. I'm going to start with two ghazals. They're related, but they're very different. One is not a critique on being smart, but it is about how it's true that you can sometimes get sick of talking about things in an elevated way. And it's good to do that. But it's called Master of Fine Farts. I'm in the mirror's iron frame. In my hand, Jhumpa Lahiri's the namesake. My naked wrist awash with light, the glass is Jhumpa Lahiri's the namesake. I see the fall when I return from Delhi, or my body gets on a plane. I don't look at the diplomat's cat next to me. I read from Jhumpa Lahiri's the namesake. I see the spring when a teacher assigned a passage to India to just me. When I hear the cave echo the void, I return to Jhumpa Lahiri's the namesake. A new millennium sees how I was seen. Under a feeling, a staticky home movie plays. A reflection on the illusion of identity. I make notes in the margin of the namesake. Unhappiness has become our custom. But I was born a wild American girl. Sister, I don't care about your Ivy hot take. I betray no one rereading the namesake. Sisters never lived north of Boston. Too young to remember letters from overseas. A pale fingertip ejects a DVD distributed en masse in booksmith bins, bargain piles of the namesake. The pioneer dies by analysis. A fruit I dare not name again. Sister, love me not for my bookshelf. In another life, in a cafe, in Srinagar, we're gossiping about our namesakes. But at a student mixer in the Midwest, we're droning on and on and on. Can authority be an heirloom? A bikini on a wheel, an elite college, an avenue renamed, a horrid inheritance of namesakes. Lahiriism. I step away from the mirror and leave pinks and oranges in the iron frame as twilight begins to wake. Sister, I am not embarrassed. I still like Jhumpa Lahiri's the namesake. So this ghazal has a lot of repeating themes about South Asian identity, but it takes it through the backdrop of living through war in Southwest Asia, the Iraq War, and later the occupation of Palestine. The American Girl book suggests examining your vagina in a mirror. I'm like you. I admired the reflection of my swinging black braid as a child, white turtleneck, turquoise two-piece, Princess Jasmine for candy as a child. Like you, dancing within the framed mirror to Punjabi MC like it's 2003. MIA is on my iPod mini when the troops invade a beer. Abir was just a child. Abir Qasim al-Janabi, Abir Qasim al-Janabi, Abir Qasim al-Janabi, Abir Qasim al-Janabi, Abir Qasim al-Janabi. Abir was just a child. Like me, Abir sleeps. I dream of foyas, she dreams of school books, our bodies curved into one another, a pattern of carpet medallions shaped like a burst open child. In our ski masks, we high-five, we point AK-47s at the glass. In one fragment, a marionette's neck ensnared in a braided tangle. In another, limbs of Barbies yanked from bodies, the work of a child. I was a teenager when she died. Back then, I would joke, I'm white inside, like a coconut, like a turd with maggots. The brownest thing about me that horrible night in Delhi. At 16, I was just a child, watching Parminder win the ultimate prize, the white English boy, and bend it like Beckham. Kira, meanwhile, scored a whole buccaneering career. I learned my rage as a child. In one fragment, I'm finishing an I-360 at a desk in the dark with a screw and ink. In another, I'm screaming in beams of office lighting while soldiers are granted parole. A childhood song went, Miri khabon mein jo aaye. Teasing in a towel on a girl's bed. I'm so scared, please come get me. Sister, who did you pretend to be to survive being a child? The name referenced repeatedly in that poem is a 14-year-old girl who was raped and murdered by American soldiers, and her family who witnessed it was murdered and then burned. So like Zach, I had some ideas on my way over here. But like, unlike him, I made it like not readable. So now I can't read the third section of this poem. But I think it's better. I just can't read it to you. So I'm just gonna read the first two sections. The Liver Eaters. 1. On the first floor of a JP triple-decker, a yoga class for junkies. A white lady with dreadlocks teaches us to have ourselves. We apply pressure to our organs, we wring them out, we wash our livers with our own blood. Bleach can contain the contagion, but death comes at varied speeds. I injected disease into myself, dipping a syringe in Clorox for only 60 seconds. Now I live with the multiplying cells of a woman who passed it to me, as if we were playing pickup in Mozart Park. It's not her fault. I stood across from her, yelling, "I'm open, I'm open." She wears a hard hat, perched on my pancreas, inspecting my virus-slumped liver, as if she strains to see the stars above the harbor. She's my little foreman, toiling against the years, raising my insides at the direction of a dysfunctional planning committee. One works within her, too, rezoning neighborhoods of tissue to make space for a viral freeway. Who lives within you? I never asked. 2. Another slow death. You and I, Jigar. A Farsi term of endearment, the jigar, the liver. Jigar, how complicated is the language of devotion? When you met me, I called it intervention, parroted loyalty to the newest remedy. I told you, as I heard, when I was pure, you are my liver, Jagadaman. Told you your liver is gold, Jagadatala. Wished to be your liver, Jagadato Bisham. Wanted to eat your liver, Jagadato Bukhoram. Wanted to mean what I said, wanted your kindness to wash me within an inch of myself until I glistened for only you. But something in me repeated itself until I lifted the fork. That morning, while we walked past Mozart Park with the dog, a little boy alone froze atop the slide, your eyes atop 6 feet plus of you met the boys. I believe in you, you said. I laughed at you, Jagadatella. I unspooled the disease and ate my own golden liver. I'll read one more poem. There's a lot of therapeutic terms for when you become yourself, all your complex sides of you integrate. I guess like Jung's Dark Soul of the Night is the most poetic sounding. And I wrote a poem about what that might feel like. An unwatched woman. My final memory before arriving to the new world, a swath of my beautiful hair falling into a sorry wreath on the floor. Thick black hair that once dazzled like the full spectrum of a dead star. Suddenly, a mysterious light coming from the pile guided my face to inspect it. There, an eyeball stared back from another world. I don't know what came over me. I stood on the portal of hair with bare feet and went. And I did not return. I arrived on my back, nude, on a long wooden table. A mother-of-pearl pocket knife was between my palm and thumb. I knew what to expect. I knew what was expected. I cut open a fig and found a vessel of shriveled seed. An apple blossom above my navel burst into rotted fruit. I produced a small fern and snipped off a lace-like leaf that floated to the ground in ashes. I used the same scissors to extricate my heart and dropped it beating to the floor. Both are organs, but the heart sank faster. I stood up and announced, N-U-R-S-E-R-Y, nursery, as if the naked champion of a spelling bee. In the old world, you would have approved and sent me an acceptance letter. In this world, no one was watching. At first, I did not know how to behave or for whom. I could not bear the loneliness of being in a place with no penalties. I begged to be watched again. I begged for my thick black hair. Without warning, my mannerisms, interests, and affectations hobbled together so that I could be loved became absurd. I forgot about pop music. I sang the names of toadstools like reindeer and learned the names of native day-long plants instead. Some things remained the same: unfurl, bronze, wither. Some roots remained thin. There was deficiency. But soon, I learned to do what I wanted as instinct. I peed where I liked. I shouted, "The soil of my heart has been leached to dust," whenever I felt like it, even though I knew it wasn't true. Suffering became a great joke. That others sought it from me, an even funnier one. There is no stunted inflorescence. I am not a sepal that can bear no petal. I am not a corolla exploding to the ground. A garden may be enjoyed by a witness. Regardless, it grows as life bursts and bursts again before it wanes. In the new world, I spent my days watching seed coats be sacrificed for unnetted growth. I understood verdancy, and I understood agony. When I went from that place to another, and then another, I dazzled like the full spectrum of a dead star. No false spring could fool me again. Once I knew I could, I took them, and I tucked them away. Your eyeballs are in my pocket. Thanks.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. Yes, like I'm obviously going to be hopping up on this pedestal until the day I die, but like this is why I love Fitchburg. When you have that level of talent, being like, oh, I'm at home. Like, how is that not a place you want to be? Anyway, thank you. That was beautiful. We have one more poet. This is technically me and John's second collaboration. He and I just like did a movie together, technically, right? Sort of. And I would describe him as like the People's Poet Laureate. John Keogh, come on up. Guys, give it up for John.
How's everybody doing? I like the Poet Laureate in exile. I ran for it knowing I'll never get it, you know, so one of those kind of deals. All right, so I got 4 poems for you. And by the way, give another round of applause to the poets before me. They were incredible. Paula. I wrote lines down from all of you, and I will steal them and use them at some point. Yes. All right. That's right, that's right.
Inspired by.
Absolutely. So the first one's called Merry and Bright. Somewhere in the late 90s, the snow came later, if it did come at all. And it wasn't the blizzard of 78. That one is for the books, they say. And many of the writers that lived it used it to make the things that we know, the way that we know them, the way we think it only is. Did you know that rotaries in other places give the right of way to the person coming in? Blasphemy. In my mind, because I have to get out before any of you get in. I got there first, so them's the rules. No one can change it, no one. I think as I write this poem, I have a few readers who are from California, and they will roll their eyes. Their tanned eyelids will laugh at me as they sit on the 405 trying to get off at Vinland to eat a burger at Twin Castle. And now, as they read, they think I know LA, like I know Worcester. But I saw it in a movie, and I wrote it into this poem. In the movies, Christmas in LA has twinkly lights in the palm trees. And on the beach, it gets cold for them. In fact, 3 inches would be like a blizzard. In some ways, Worcester is just like LA. We overreact to the weather. We belong together. As they say, I have a string of lights and a little glass tree and gnomes. What is merry? What is bright? Why would one want to wish a Christmas to be white? I never really had a Christmas. We were poor, or I was an interloper, or I was in the clink. That's a bit of slang for the young ones to look up on their phones. There is no Yuletide. carols being sung by a fire, or folks dressed up like Inuit, unless I watch a movie. On a streamer, there are very few theatrical Christmas movies anymore. We almost kind of gave it up, the very idea of the year ending in love and warmth and fellowship. Instead, we are waiting to see what Vecna will do. But I play D&D. I know exactly what that guy can do. Did you ever think that lights being tangled and hard to get to was a part of it? That the pine needles and the sap and the cat knocking the glass bulb onto the floor and the fights and the disappointment in the one thing that Bobby Sullivan got. He always got everything. But he doesn't have my memory. No one does. I remember it all. It was cold, and it was not how it is in the movies, but it was merry and bright. This one is called Not Reliable. The engine block is dripping. You are not holding the light the way I need you to right now, and I can't see into the engine. The road we are on is old, and there is snow falling. I have sneakers on. I should put the boots on I have in the trunk. We have been pushing this. I should have gotten an oil change last month, really, but you need to stretch the last paycheck. It's Christmas after all, and everyone needs something, just a little something. Even the dollar store is $2 now. The news says that the economy is booming, and we are all shopping. So what are we complaining about? Just put it on the credit card. Did you notice the billionaires are talking about a time without money, but they aren't talking about giving up their oceanfront property? Funny how money will go away just when the poor need it the most. We're all on subscriptions, and the streamers are merging. I have $40 and 6 scratch tickets in a dirty envelope in the glove box. That's actually your present. We're on your way to your parents, but they got all the wrapped presents in the back of the truck, next to the boots I hate to wear, but I should put them on. It's snowing out, and I can't see. That's it. This one is called Unto Certain Shepherds. This is from a time in my life that not everybody gets to experience and then talk about it in a positive way in public. I spent some time in prison, and so think about someone in prison, and you'll understand this poem a little bit better. Unto certain shepherds, I have never gotten tidings. Email, text, direct message, AOL mail, Hotmail, Gmail, phone calls, letters, postcards, a few times even a softly whispered warning that my mother was yelling for me from the project stoop. Well, I have never gotten tidings. I had a man once who was very nervous serve me papers from a lawsuit, and I asked him, why are you trembling? And he said someone told him I was scary. I invited him in and gave him mac and cheese. We are friends to this day. He works for the post office now. I've gotten hot tips, stop the presses, from deep undercover sources. I ran them down. Sometimes they were fake, but mostly they have been very, very real. I have been warned. Sometimes I heed warnings, other times I do not. I once heard a voice. It was a voice no one else could hear, and it spoke to me out of the clouds and the rays of sunshine on a bright September afternoon. It told me to give up, and so I did. I was told I would never be a good writer. I was told I would never amount to anything. I was told I was a piece of Mick trash. I didn't understood what Mick meant. So I asked my friends, who were all black and Hispanic, and they said it was a bad word. They knew better than I. My uncle got angry when I told him that and asked who said it. I did not tell him. He gave me a black eye. My father did not believe me, but then again, he never really has. I had a telegram come to me once. I was doing illegal things, and the telegram gave me information. It worked out for me that day. I have had many Western Unions. Now they call them Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, Cash App. It's all the same, really. But I never had tidings. I feel like we could all use some tidings, the kind of comfort and joy. All right, this is the last poem, and this poem can come across really sad. All right, it is about a particular person, But I just want you to keep in mind that sometimes sadness ends in a good way, okay? All right. Twisted all around. I was waiting at the bus stop, the one that used to have a cover before they cemented it, no comfort for the symptoms. When you catch that winter cold, do you think to apply home remedies first? Or store-bought supplies, or just rough it out? Are you shirtless in the winter running? Are you chicken soup and hot toddy? Are you slamming whatever CVS is overcharging for now? Or are you alone, shivering, trying not to think about it? They like to cite that verse in the Bible, you know, the one that says the poor will always be with us, that the conditions will always be bad. They forget about the other one. And do not forget to do good and to share with what you have, for with such sacrifices God is pleased. No one has that one tattooed with a cross. With what you have, what do I have? I am one of the little that you have. Will be taken away kind of folks. Just kind of making it, sometimes unsure of how it will go, or if it will fail, because that happens sometimes. So the $2 in my glove box seems precious when I give it. And then later on the bank account, in the negative, again, when I go to sleep, sometimes you just have to roll over and not answer the phone and not look at the email and try to do it again. At the bus stop, I was waiting to go to work. I was cleaning the seats after an indoor football game. I didn't know that in the building, a person who would become my friend was working a camera stand when I was scraping the cheese up. It was after 1 a.m. when I left, and I was walking to the place I was staying in. I didn't want to call to get picked up, so I walked down Main Street. The ladies of Main Street knew my name, but knew I wasn't, and the guys thought I was too big to try. They get tired too, you know, so I walked. A guy who everyone calls Scooter. He asked me for $20, a big ask. I only had $20 on me. I hesitated, and he said, I'm going to buy food. So I handed it over. I never saw him again. He did bird impressions. He had a spot-on Malabar whistling thrush. It was almost too good. You would have thought he was AI if he posted it today, but he did the call for me as he walked away with his prize. I never asked him how he heard that bird call. I like to imagine he had once hiked through the hills of the Western Ghats before he lost himself. I look at the bus stop the other day from my driver's side window as I drove by one of Scooter's contemporaries and thought he probably would have slept there anyways. What is the purpose of a building with 4 walls that you sing to the holiest of holies if someone else sleeps on the ground and isn't sure as they roll over if they will eat tomorrow? You look nice in your best, though. I'm sure the message was as if it was just for you. You'll drive by the same bus stop, and you'll never even ask about Scooter. Thanks, everybody.
Wow. All right. So firstly, thank you so much to the poets. Secondly, thanks so much to Tyler. Guys, real quick, this is Tyler. He rocks. He's why you guys can watch this later. We stream this on YouTube. The Openest Mic has a YouTube page. If you want to watch this, if you're a poet who performed and you want to show people how freaking talented you are, please do, because you are. Real quick, we had a former educator, we had an immigration attorney, we had a booksmith, we had a formerly incarcerated person, and we got something from all of their work. So every single one of them has something to offer you, which means that you probably have something to offer every single person that you encounter. So I know it's hard and I know it's scary, but I just really, really, really want to encourage you guys, keep doing it. Whatever you're doing, just fucking keep doing it and you'll find your people. I love you. Have a good night.